When a soldier chooses to save a starving teenager instead of following orders, he becomes a criminal. When a military officer reports his men are dying of hunger, he gets his food rations cut in half, labeled a traitor. Today, you'll hear from former Captain Lee, who watched his soldiers die one by one under North Korea's system, then made an impossible choice: flee or watch them all perish. This is not just one man's escape story. It's a testimony to 25 million people still trapped in the world's most repressive regime. If these stories matter to you, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. Your support helps us bring these untold stories to light. Together, we can be a voice for those who cannot speak. Looking back now, it all started like this. In early 2024, I was the captain of a Frontline Guard battalion in North Korea. In my early 30s, I still believed in the system back then. At that time, I was leading soldiers at a post on a ridge right in front of the ceasefire line. Winter in Hamgyong province was truly bone-chilling. You know, even in our country, wintering in such mountain valleys in the 60s and 70s was really tough. That post had no water and inadequate heating. Most of the soldiers were young kids, 18 or 19 years old. They were around the same age as my own parents, so not much age difference. Like parents who lost their children, those kids felt like my own. I saw kids who couldn't properly eat one of their 3 daily meals. Their staple was something like corn porridge, and even that wasn't given every day. After going hungry for several days, the hands of kids who drank only water while on duty trembled. The coldest night I remember was minus 25 degrees. There was a new recruit, Kang Chul-min, who was on night guard duty. The kid said he was from Chongjin. That night, I went to the post and held the kid's hand. His fingers were ice cold. The kid's eyes were hazy. At that moment, I gave him half of my food. It was against regulations, but it was the minimum I could do as a human. Chulman handed me a broken compass. "Captain, take this at least," he said. Even though the small compass he was holding was broken, the kid wanted to give it to me. The next day, the political officer Ri Myung-ho called me. Ri Myung-ho was my superior, and someone who always found fault with everything. Like a village head monitoring everything, Ri Myung-ho observed every move of our company. "Comrade Captain, I hear you've been having a lot of personal contact with the soldiers lately. Doesn't that go against party discipline?" he said. And he added, "The security department says they're keeping an eye on our company, so be careful." Those words sounded like a threat, but at that time I didn't yet know how significant that warning would be. Ri Myung-ho probably didn't know that his own fate was contained in those words. That night, I looked out the window holding the broken compass Chul-min gave me. I thought there must be someone down south, people who know what freedom is, what it's like to live without hunger. But I thought it was a dream. For now, it was mid-January. That winter was truly extraordinary. You remember, too, winters back then were really cold. Winter at the North Korean front line was on a different level. Corporal Park Jun-ho of our company couldn't get up from the post. That kid had been coughing all winter. He was wearing tattered clothes, and there were no medicines at all. It seemed like he had frostbite. His toes were starting to turn black. That morning, the post's medic called me. "Captain, the corporal isn't waking up." I rushed to the scene. Jun-ho was already cold and lifeless. Later, I found out it was a combination of malnutrition, frostbite, and pneumonia. That kid died in my arms under my command as a soldier I was supposed to protect. It was the first time I experienced my heart completely breaking, like a parent who lost a child. I heard my father lost his older brother during the Korean War, and I thought his heart must have been like this. The higher-ups wanted to cover up Jun-ho's death. "Let's treat him as a deserter," they said. It meant leaving a record as if Jun-ho had run away. I said I couldn't do that. "That kid is a soldier of our company. We must report the truth," I insisted. But then he appeared. Security Officer Park Seon-guk. It was the first time that man in black clothes had come to our post in person. Park Seon-guk took one look at Jun-ho's body and called me aside. "Comrade Captain, you're quite a talkative person," he said. His voice was as cold as a refrigerator. Park Seon-guk started writing something on a piece of paper right there. On thick paper with a black fountain pen. I later found out that paper was a sealed report. I never knew what was written in that report, but I had a premonition that it would threaten my life. "Comrade Captain, be aware that from now on, all your words and actions will be recorded," Park Seon-guk said. "The party organization never forgets. It doesn't miss any small thing. From that day on, I felt like I was constantly being watched. Park Seon-guk appeared frequently, like a neighbor watching everything from next door. I felt like I couldn't hide anything. Even the conversations I had with the soldiers, even when I shared my food, it all seemed to be under Park Seon-guk's watchful eye. We buried Jun-ho. No one held a memorial service. He was just buried in the frozen ground. That night, I cried in my room. I still remember that kid's face. His parents must be somewhere in his hometown. And thinking about the heartache of those parents who would never know of their child's death. Now that I think about it, that sealed report from Park Seon-guk was the beginning. It seems my fate was decided from that moment. I finally realized then, the party organization never forgives the weak. By February, the situation worsened. Recruit Kang Chul-min disappeared from the post. During his night duty, that kid was the one who gave me the broken compass. Thinking about how much Chul-min's mother must be waiting for him back home, my heart sank. The higher-ups immediately issued a search order, claiming a soldier had deserted. I led our entire company up the mountain. That day, a blizzard was raging. It was a snowstorm of the same intensity our grandfathers experienced during the Korean War. The ridge was covered in white snow, and below it was a minefield. As we were climbing the mountain, Park Seon-guk appeared, along with other security soldiers. Park Seon-guk stopped me and said, "Comrade Company Commander, where are you going? Without a report?" I said I was searching for a deserter. Then Park Seon-guk smiled. That smile was really chilling, as if he already knew everything. "Company Commander, are you perhaps hiding that soldier?" Park Seon-guk asked. My back shivered with a cold chill. No, how could that be? I denied it, but Park Seon-guk's eyes didn't change. "We have information. That soldier often met with you?" At that moment, doubt arose in my heart. Who could have told Park Seon-guk? It meant someone was reporting my every move. It meant someone within our company. I sensed it was Ri Myung-ho. That guy must have reported to Park Seon-guk in detail. The search continued. Park Seon-guk followed me everywhere until the end, as if monitoring me. Meanwhile, we approached the minefield. According to regulations, we shouldn't have entered there. But we had to find Chul-min. I cautiously ordered the soldiers to take a detour. It was a violation of regulations. But we had to save that kid. Park Seon-guk shouted, "Company Commander, that direction is a minefield." I replied, "I understand. We'll go carefully." Saying that, we slowly, very cautiously, made our way through the snow. Each step felt like measuring the distance to death. In the end, we didn't find Cheol-min. We searched for an hour or two on the mountain, but there was no trace of him. Maybe he really had run away. Or maybe something else had happened. On the way back, Park Seon-guk stood by my side again. "Company Commander, you are a strange person. Searching for a deserter while breaking regulations. Do you have a special relationship with that soldier?" I didn't answer. But Park Seon-guk continued, "The party organization sees everything. Every word you say, every action you take is being recorded. Remember that." That night, news came to my room. Company Commander, Park Seon-guk reportedly filed a suspicion report with the higher-ups. I don't know who told him, but it was true. Now that I think about it, that mountain chase wasn't to find Cheol-min. It was a hunt for Park Seon-guk to find a weakness to bring down our company. I realized then, we were no longer safe, and there was someone within our company ready to sell us out. At the end of February, everything erupted simultaneously. I submitted a report to the higher-ups. Our company's soldiers were collapsing from malnutrition, unable to eat properly even once a day, and combat effectiveness could not be maintained this way. You also know how difficult it was for our military units after the Korean War. Even then, soldiers lacked food. With that in mind, I respectfully requested more food. 3 days later, the answer came. Food rations were cut by half. I couldn't believe it. The reason was suspicion of training North Korean defector ringleaders. Company commander's ideology shaken. Park Seon-guk's sealed report had been accepted. That afternoon, the security department appeared. Park Seon-guk and his 3 subordinates. Park Seon-guk took me aside and personally checked if there were any listening devices in my room. He searched under my desk, under my bed, everywhere. And he smiled. "Company Commander, don't make any useless excuses. We already know everything." That was a threat. It meant all our company's words were being recorded. Around 10 p.m. that night, a scream erupted. from the guard post. I ran there. Sergeant Oh Myong-soo was there. Oh Myong-soo was my most trusted soldier. He was older and acted as the company's older brother. But he was lying on the floor, being beaten by Park Seon-guk's subordinates. "Why are you doing this?" I shouted. Park Seon-guk replied, "There is information that Sergeant Oh Myong-soo communicated with deserter Kang Cheol-min. I suspect this sergeant received the contact." That was a lie. But Oh Myong-soo kept getting beaten. I knelt before Park Seon-guk. "Please stop. I'll take responsibility." Park Seon-guk raised his hand and gestured. His subordinates stopped, but Oh Myong-soo was already half unconscious. Blood was flowing from his eyes. Park Seon-guk whispered in my ear, "Company commander, do you know what this means?" His words were clear. I was next. When I saw Oh Myong-soo in the barracks, his body was covered in wounds. His ribs might have been broken. We had no medicine or technology. I held that kid's hand and cried, "I'm sorry I couldn't protect you." That night, I sat alone in my room, and I realized this was the end. Under this system, we would all die. At 2 a.m., I secretly called the soldiers one by one, only the ones I could trust. "We have to leave here. To survive, we all have to leave this place before we die." The first reaction was resistance. Oh Myong-soo grabbed my arm and said, "Company commander, that's death. Desertion is execution." But I looked at his wounded face. "Oh Myong-soo, you've already started dying. We have no choice now." At that moment, Oh Myong-soo's eyes changed, from resistance to despair, and from despair to desperation. Then, "Can we live?" that kid asked. I replied, "I don't know. But here, we will die 100%. From that night, our collective escape plan began. But someone was listening to us. The listening device in my room was no joke. It really existed, and Park Seon-guk already knew everything. He was waiting for us to escape, as if watching a fly caught in a spider's web. I finally understood. Ri Myong-ho had sold out our company to Park Seon-guk. From the beginning, all his reports were meant to entrap us. And the moment we escaped, Park Seon-guk would have a legitimate reason to execute all of us. Looking back now, that plan in April was already destined to fail. But we didn't know. So we kept preparing, risking death. It was 11 p.m., the day after the Day of the Sun celebration, when security was slightly relaxed. We chose that day. I gave the final instructions to the soldiers divided into each squad. To Corporal Lee Jun-ho, holding the broken compass given by Private Kang Cheol-min, I said, "South. Always look south." Escaping the guard post was easier than expected. Oh Myong-soo had scattered the on-duty soldiers appropriately. That kid, despite being covered in wounds from torture and having a broken rib, endured the pain with all his might to help my plan. We sprinted behind the mountain. There were 10 of us. Me, Oh Myong-soo, Corporal Lee Jun-ho, a few privates. And next to me was a junior who was too injured to hold a gun. As we descended the mountain, we were quiet. We even took care not to breathe. After an hour or two, we arrived at a point where we could see the Tumen River. The river was frozen, but there were places where water flowed. It was a dangerous place. It'll take 20 minutes to get there. Never look back, just look forward, I told the soldiers. We went down to the river. When the first squad was about halfway across, that moment came. Searchlights swept the sky. A red flare went up. "We're surrounded!" someone shouted. At that moment, I knew. Park Seon-guk was waiting for us. Gunshots rang out. At first, they were warning shots. But soon they rang out again. This time, they were lethal shots. Gunshots directly aimed at us on the river. "Run fast! Go fast!" I urged the soldiers. Corporal Lee Jun-ho behind me pulled another soldier. That kid had been shot and was limping. Oh Myong-soo carried another injured soldier. At that moment, another scream erupted from behind. It was Private Kim Tae-ho. He was the youngest soldier, 16 years old. Just a 16-year-old kid. Tae-ho was shot 3 or 4 times on the river. I tried to turn back, but Oh Myong-soo grabbed my arm. "Captain, we can't!" Tae-ho's screams lingered in my ears. "Captain, help me! Mother! Mother!" That kid collapsed on the river. Before his eyes closed, he looked at me. Our eyes met. And he didn't move. We kept running. I had no choice but to run, leaving the dead Tae-ho behind. I abandoned a soldier under my command. That guilt will haunt me for the rest of my life. When we reached Chinese soil, there were 9 of us in total, 1 less than the 10 we started with, and 1 more was missing. Corporal Min Seong-ho. He fell behind while crossing the river and couldn't catch up. That kid was probably caught again. Or maybe he collapsed from the cold. I don't know. Tae-ho and Min Seong-ho. I can never forget their names. In the blizzard, we set foot on Chinese territory. But we weren't safe. Gunshots kept ringing out from behind. North Korean border guards were chasing us onto Chinese soil. Park Seon-guk's voice was heard. From afar, but clearly. "Shoot anyone who crosses!" We kept running. Oh Myung-soo carried the injured soldier. The junior next to me was already half unconscious. I pulled him along, as if pulling my own son. That night's blizzard was really severe, as if it was trying to swallow us. But in that blizzard, we survived. Leaving behind 16-year-old Tae-ho and Min Seong-ho, the 8 of us arrived alive in China. Looking back now, I still can't forget the faces of those who disappeared in that night's blizzard, especially Tae-ho's eyes, the moment they met mine. The voice of that kid calling for his mother. That's what I chose, to abandon that kid to survive. But if those kids hadn't died, we would all have died. The moment we set foot on Chinese soil, we thought we were free. It was a big mistake. The place we arrived at was called Yanbian, a small town near the Tumen River. There was someone waiting for us there. Broker Kim Cheol-soo. He said he was a Joseon-jock, but he only saw us as commodities. "Don't worry, comrades. I'm here to help you. Just listen to me." It was a lie. We went into the warehouse Kim Cheol-soo provided. An old warehouse covered with plastic. Problems started from the first night. When I checked my bag inside the warehouse, I confirmed that the secret documents were still safe. Confidential documents from the party leadership that I had secretly taken from the North Korean guard post when we defected. I couldn't lose these. On the 3rd day, Kim Cheol-soo appeared and said, "Do you know how much bounty there is for reporting defectors like you to the public security?" That bastard's eyes changed. They were gleaming with greed. "Our government gives several thousand yuan for each defector. Should I hand you over or not?" It was a threat. On the 10th day, Kim Cheol-soo surrounded the warehouse with the public security. 7 armed public security officers. We were surrounded in an instant. "Come out! Everyone come out!" the public security shouted. We came out slowly. I went out first, to protect the soldiers. But the public security immediately hit me in the face. With a baton, I fell down. Blood flowed. "These guys are North Korean border guards. Arrest them!" Oh Myung-soo ran over. "Captain!" The public security hit Oh Myung-soo too. Corporal Lee Jun-ho tried to reach out to me, but was kicked by the public security. It seemed like his rib was broken. At that moment, a blue taxi appeared from the next alley. A Joseon-jock driver. He didn't say anything. He just opened the side door of the van-like vehicle. "Get in quickly!" We were carried away in the car. The sound of the secret police's gunshot grazed the car. The window shattered. A new recruit was hit by the glass. A piece of glass was embedded in his neck. The taxi kept driving. The Korean-Chinese driver didn't say a word. He just drove. An hour later, he dropped us off in front of a small church on a mountain. "This is a safe place. Find the pastor, and tell him the blue taxi driver brought you here." That was the only thing the driver said. We knocked on the church door. The person who came out was a pastor in his 60s. The moment he heard my story, his eyes welled up with tears. "Come in, quickly." The pastor took us to the basement. Korean Chinese believers were already waiting for us. They were grandmothers and middle-aged women. They didn't say a word and started cleaning our wounds. "Why are you being so kind to us?" I asked. The grandmother answered, "Aren't we also from North Korea? Don't we also have a desire to go south? You are our sons and grandsons." That night, I held that grandmother's hand and cried, as if I had found my own mother. We hid in that church for 3 weeks. Every day, the pastor and the believers took care of us, treating our wounds, providing food, and offering warm words. The new recruit's neck wound slowly healed. But we were all still anxious. We heard that the secret police were looking for us. After 3 weeks, the pastor called me. "It's time to go now, to the Korean embassy. But it won't be easy. Don't forget that the secret police's surveillance is intense. You must be extremely careful." There were 8 of us together, without Tae-ho, without Min Seong-ho, but we weren't alone anymore. The prayers of the Korean Chinese believers were with us. We left the church at 10 p.m. The pastor put us in a car. It was heading towards Changchun. It was a 24-hour journey to Beijing, where the Korean embassy was located. But there were things chasing us. The secret police. In the middle of the night, We got caught at a highway checkpoint. The secret police stopped our car. Show your IDs. The pastor showed his Korean-Chinese ID, but we had nothing. Who are these people? The secret police asked. In that moment, the new recruit next to me suddenly opened the door and jumped out. It was a panic. The secret police fired their guns. The boy ran into the bushes by the road. Shoot! Shoot! Another secret police officer fired. A scream was heard. It seemed like the new recruit had been hit. The pastor quickly started the car. Get in! Oh Myong-soo ran into the hail of bullets. He pulled the new recruit out of the bushes. Oh Myong-soo was also shot, and the new recruit was bleeding from being shot. Both had gunshot wounds in their legs. We got into the car and drove away. The secret police car followed us. The pastor took a mountain road. He abandoned the highway and chose a country road. We drove for an hour. The secret police car behind us disappeared. But the new recruit's condition was serious. Blood kept flowing from his leg. Fortunately, Oh Myong-soo's wound wasn't severe as the bullet had grazed him. Oh Myong-soo and Corporal Lee Jun-ho tore off their clothes to stop the bleeding. Captain, we need to go to the hospital, Oh Myong-soo shouted. We can't go to the hospital. We'll get caught by the secret police, I said. The pastor secretly went to find a pharmacist, a Korean-Chinese pharmacist. He didn't ask any questions. He treated the new recruit's wound and gave him antibiotics. There's a bullet lodged in his leg. It needs to be removed in Korea. We kept driving through the night. There were 12 more hours until Beijing. At 5 a.m., we arrived near the Korean embassy in Beijing. The pastor dropped us off. From here, you need to go on your own. It's 500 meters to the embassy. Go slowly and naturally. We walked slowly. The 8 of us scattered, like students going to school. Oh Myong-soo held the new recruit's arm and pulled him along. When we reached the embassy, a security guard came out. Who are you? I said. We are Korean citizens. We request protection. The security guard's expression changed. He immediately let us in. Inside the embassy, the consular officer was surprised when he saw us. 8 wounded soldiers. A new recruit covered in blood. I took out my bag. I handed over the secret documents. These are the evidence. They contain all the crimes of the North Korean regime. Torture, corruption, everything we've gone through. The world needs to know. The consular officer took the documents. His eyes widened. This is truly important material. This is why we survived, I said. We kept running to protect this. Now we will protect you. You can rest assured. The moment I heard those words, my legs gave way. Finally, we had escaped Chinese soil, into the Korean embassy, onto Korean territory. Now I am 38 years old. It's been 4 years since I came to Korea. When I landed at Incheon Airport, my tears wouldn't stop. The airport with the Taegukgi flag fluttering. I wondered if that was really Korea. The new recruit went straight to the hospital for his leg injury. The bullet wound was removed through surgery, and now he walks with crutches. I spent 3 months at Hana Center. Social adaptation education, medical checkups, psychological counseling. The 8 of us were together every day, in the shared living room. At night, someone would wake up from a nightmare, and someone else would cry quietly. Oh Myong-soo didn't eat at first. Because there was so much food, he said he was anxious. What do we do if so much food goes to waste? Corporal Lee Jun-ho screamed every night. He was dreaming of being chased by the secret police. The psychologist diagnosed all of us with PTSD. The new recruit's leg slowly recovered, but the psychological wounds were deeper. Captain, why did I survive? That boy kept asking. I couldn't answer. 4 years have passed, and now we live separately. We received settlement money and each got a small room. I work as a day laborer on the outskirts of Seoul, at a construction site. As you know, our country was also this difficult during the IMF crisis. Oh Myong-soo works at a factory. He comes to see me every night. Captain, I had the dream again. He still thinks about the mountain in front of the guard post. Corporal Lee Jun-ho works a night shift at a convenience store. From 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. He said the night in the south is also scary. The new recruit can't work because of his leg. He sometimes despairs because he doesn't get paid. We sometimes help him. We buy him meals and help him with his rent. In North Korea, he was my subordinate. But here we are, brothers. One day, I searched for North Korean news on the internet. It was an article about the secret documents I handed over, being reported to an international human rights organization. The North Korean party leadership's corruption, misconduct, and all the crimes we experienced were exposed to the world. That's when I realized Tejo must have died, but at least his death was not meaningless. I occasionally take out the broken compass. The compass that Corporal Lee Junho returned to me in South Korea. The needle is still broken, but now it points to the south, to this land we came to. When unification happens, I want to step on my hometown again. I want to greet my mother and father's graves. I want to visit Tejo's mother. I want to tell that mother, your son died for freedom. His death is remembered. Everyone, my colleagues and I surviving is not a coincidence. It's because of the hands of the Korean-Chinese taxi driver, the pastor, the pharmacist, the South Korean embassy, all the staff at Hana Center, and everyone who helped us. Freedom is not free. Someone has to die, and someone has to have nightmares for a lifetime. But it's worth enduring if it means gaining freedom. Even at this moment, there are countless of our compatriots trapped in silence. They must be dreaming of freedom like us. Your subscriptions and likes can be hope for them. Change begins only when the world continues to pay attention. Remember, please don't forget, I am grateful every day for being able to live in this land.